Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all here in this webinar session being conducted by TNV Academy. Let me introduce you to the speaker of the day of today's webinar. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Ajay Bajpai. The topic with which he is here today with all of us for this particular webinar is Energy Management System Policy, which is covered under Clause 5.2 of ISO 50001 standard. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Bajpai, has done his bachelor's in engineering in metallurgy stream. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 37001, 22000, 27001, 13485, 22301, and 50001 standards, respectively. As far as I am concerned about his experience, so I would say that Mr. Ajay Bajpai has got over 38 plus years of experience in training, auditing, certification, and accreditation processes. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and their certification and implementation. This was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Bajpai. I may request Mr. Ajay Bajpai now to please take over and start the webinar.
Thank you, Apur, and the team who have joined to understand the critical requirements of energy policy today, which is a requirement of clause 5.2 of ISO 50000. Also, it is known as, popularly known as EnMS, Energy Management System. Okay. So there are various types of energies available. So that is the first thing which one needs to understand. Because we have been to too many organizations and energy, they said it's electrical energy, or little bit beyond they have gone and they have tried to define some other kind of energy. But if we can understand the energy, then the energy policy documentation and understanding, as we will discuss in further slides, will become very simple. So what are the type of energies? The various energy which we have: wind energy, solar energy, water energy, which is converting into hydropower, energy generated through biofuels, gas, gasoline, fossils, waste generation, convert into sources as self. We are using at home and this thing at places, the cow, the dung, the buffalo dung, and the gas and the other energy generated out of that. And there are other several traditional energies are being developed globally. There are energies being developed into the automotive sector by utilization, various combination of batteries and dynamos and so on, by pull and push method, by the traditional concepts of energy management, as defined by various scientists in past, which we understand that. Okay, so once we understand this energy, then what will happen? It should be appropriate to the purpose of the organization. What is the product and process and the business of the organization? Their concepts of energy policy understanding will go hand to hand with them. In some auditing, we have seen the organization is going in one direction with respect to product, process, and processes, and they have documented some energy policy to meet the requirement of EnMS. So we need to get into problems at that kind of a situation as auditors. Also, it provides a framework for setting and reviewing objectives and energy targets. As we know that various clauses are interrelated, so clause 5.2 is also very closely related to 6.2. Particularly when I say the energy targets and objective, it is very much related and it can be achieved through effective implementation of these energy targets only. So the policy becomes an integrate part of the objectives, or object becomes an integrate part of policy. All that goes simultaneously hand to hand. And then also it needs to include a commitment to ensure that availability of information, whatever information is available here from these sources when we are getting into energy policy, it also focusing towards that, and objectives and targets are being always in line with that. Also, energy policy needs to be very clear with respect to the commitment of the organization to satisfy applicable legal requirement. Various organizations have got multiple kind of legal requirements applicable to them depending upon what state, what district, what country they are operating. And there are also other requirements which are specified in clause 4.2, the customer requirement, the interested party requirement, and the requirements being updated as per, for example, we have got COVID situation, we have got unknown situation into the implementation, we have got various kind of famines, floods and all, flora, fauna, all that it is getting interrelated with the ISO 14,000 to that extent. And then we talk of energy efficiency, energy use, and energy consumption. There are various kind of terms into this standard. 50,001 standard as such we have covered in full in one of the webinar which is available on our TNV Academy channel, that describes the entire thing, the processes, everything in details of required to attempt and attend the 50,001 standard. So the focus, if you look at there, sometimes I will try to interrelate, as we are talking only of energy policy here in details, it will relate to energy consumption and the usage, how much energy has been consumed, how much has been used, whether the usage is with respect to what we are really looking at for our product, process and businesses, or it is going elsewhere. That means the loss of energy and so on. It also needs to include a commitment for continual improvement, that is the clause 10.2. Clause 10 talks about continual improvement, and then energy performance and ENMS needs to improve upon further when we are able to implement the entire ENMS with the support of energy policy when we are talking of clause 5.2 here. So this is the theme, and then we go further into the theme understanding. It also supports the procurement. So it gets related to clause 8.3 because we are procuring lot of energy efficient products and services that impact energy performance as an organization. When we are manufacturing, for example, we are into an auto sector, we are getting multiple components and this thing from our suppliers and subcontractors. So these products should also be energy efficient if we have to meet the intent of the energy policy to be efficient and to see that yes, we can achieve the desired results out of it to ultimately impact the energy performance. Also the services are equally important. We are utilizing as an organization lot kind of services we utilize, so they should also be energy efficient when they are entering into our organization, or when they are becoming a part and sub components of our final truck, cars or assembly if you are into an automotive sector. It also needs to support the design activity. Design has got a lot of impact until ultimately onto the energy performance of the products and processes. So how that happens? We are into a design department. We are talking of clause 8.2. Design inputs have come, design output. We have discussed design activity into two parts. One can view to understand more linkages into our TNV Academy webinar to understand how it can be really linking to the energy performance when we are talking of energy policy. Okay, so the concept will be more clear from that. Also, energy policy shall have few definite elements again. Should be available as a documented information. 7.5 is a document data control requirement of ISO 50001 standard. So, if it is not documented, if it is not documented the way it is required, then we trainers and auditors may be raising a non-conformity or observation depending upon the situation we come across into the auditing, whether it is first, second, third party or whatever kind of audit it is. Be communicated within the organization. If organization team is aware of the energy policy intent, the concept, then they can follow it. So there is a requirement to communicate it within the organization. Organization, when we say, it includes all further available to interested parties as available. Organization will not run if you talk of only the entry and exit gate of a generator manufacturing company. It has all other interested parties as appropriate into the development of the ENMS and the intended result achievement with the support of energy policy. So it is our duty as a manufacturer, as an organization, to see that it is available to interested parties to be periodically reviewed and updated as necessary. Into organizations, we have seen this is a new standard, fairly new standard as compared to other ones. So energy policy understanding is also fairly new for many organizations, many trainers, many auditors, because the concepts are still under development process, I would say. So it needs to be developed. Energy policy is not forever. Nothing is forever in ISO 50,000 certification. It needs to be reviewed, updated as necessary, as a required interval, as we defined as an organization. People have a lot of questions, sir. How frequently it should be reviewed? So, a third party auditors and training organization, we always say, sir, please review it before we are there for the next surveillance audits, and do it more periodically as necessary, because you are conducting lot of reviews. Otherwise, the internal audit, the energy audits, the energy audit of your suppliers and all, if you are 80-90% depend upon the products and services being by supplier, so then necessity may increase. So the frequency depend upon you, but necessarily the answer will be, before we come for next surveillance audit, please review and update it, so that we are able to verify that yes, organization is going on in a positive direction. So once that happens, then what happens? What are the desired results? Ultimately, when we are going to have a formulation of energy policy, what are we looking at? Why we are going to document energy policy? And what happens when the movement of this activity is on? The organizational team is trained in the process. The entire teams involved. I always say teams involved, because teams are going, teams is a broad this thing. It starts from customers, interested parties, staff, suppliers, the regulators, whosoever are involved into, they are all trained on the concepts of energy policy. Your energy policy is your energy policy as a diesel generator manufacturing set. You might have copied it from somewhere, but needs to be put into your shoes and your organization culture. So this was the concept of your policy. Your energy policy should be made clear to the organizational team. And so now we expect them to be trained. And then what happens? It gives assurance that energy management system can achieve its intended results. If energy policy is documented, it is implemented as we discussed in last two slides, and as per the requirements, then the intended plan of EnMS certification or implementation will be achieved, and global requirements of customers will be achieved. I will always say sustainable development goal. Entire globe is suffering from a huge energy crisis. We know all that, because of the war situation, because of the you know the improper usage of the energy, and energy losses, and energy efficiency going down every day as a globe. So also it meets the customer requirement, because if I am a customer who am going to buy 100 cars from you in next 1 month, you are a manufacturer, then what happens? I have got certain requirement that I will get energy efficient vehicles, energy efficient cars from you, and you can give me a confidence that yes, you have not played with the nature in the development and supply of this cars to my service unit or my sale point. So these are the customer requirement. We also discussed that energy policy is auditable, and question answers clarity is there when they are going through internal audit, second party audit, or third party audit. Because if language, meaningful and logical things are not considered, that means if energy policy is not smart enough, the theme is lost. If we cannot audit against those lines written into the display, what happens? We will not get the results. We will not understand whether it is understood, whether it is being implemented, whether people are confident of making replies, and so on. So language is equally important when we talk of various countries, various districts, various states. India has got several hundred languages. The world will have thousands of languages, but the language where the energy policy is being documented, I would say utilized for a particular purpose, should be clear to the teams, as we discussed in last two slides. Meaningful. It should have a meaningful with the business of the organization, with the type of energy, which the type of energy being consumed, with the type of losses we have, and logical. You see, it is very easy to say logical, but when we go into various trainings and auditing, and we normally find that in a group, more than 10 to 20% people are not able to talk logical things. So it is an improvement process which comes slowly, particularly when in case of auditing and training. So it needs to fulfill these requirements, meets the needs of interested parties. Our interested parties may have multiple requirements from us. A person who is supplying me a silencer for my car or for my tractor or my, the motorbike, has got certain requirements of his own to see that his energy efficiency is not getting affected because of certain actions taken by or documented by our energy policy. So we need to see that his needs are taken care by our energy policy. He should not be harmed unnecessarily by our illogical or meaningless or wrong language of the energy policy. We have seen all this into auditing and raised non-conformities. Follow-up audits have been given by these things, which are normally things seems to be very small, but these small things, when we talk logically, observation gets converted into non-conformity minor, and minor becomes major, and so on, and then the follow-up audits or re-audits are conducted. Also, energy policy needs to meet the vision, mission, and direction of the top management. Who is looking for all this? We are going to organization where the top management is not sometimes involved to the extent required. Sometimes it is the lower management who has taken a decision that yes, sir, let's go for a EMS certification, ENMS certification. Sometimes the middle management is taking the lead, but then they are called the top management with respect to the energy policy, documentation, implementation, and leading towards certification finally if they are going for certification also. So they become the top management, and ultimately if it is a clear direction from top management, the top management themselves, the board of directors, chairmen, and so on, their mission and vision should be meeting with the documentation of the energy policy and implementation of the energy policy. So these are very clear desired results when we are looking into energy policy, documentation, implementation, communication, and so on, as we discussed. So now we have understood what we will achieve if we are having a effectively documented, implemented, auditable energy policy. Then what happens? We are going to planning activity. Good planning means results are achieved, sometimes more than achieved, I would say. So drafting is a key part of any policy, and so that it is equally important for energy policy also. We always say, do not straight away take it from consultants, do not straight away take from trainers, do not straight away adopt it the way it is done into other units, another organization may be of similar nature or similar type. Your culture is different as an organization, your human beings are different, their capacity, competency different from other organizations. So please draft it initially, then document, and then take it to the approval process, to the top management level. Whatever is your top management, that can be different in different organization as per what they are documenting. Then provide what? Training. A lot of training needs to be conducted. I mean, you cannot just initiate the energy policy into organization without understanding the concepts. So the 50,000 standard has got a lot of requirement into clause 1, 2, 3 before we come to clause 4. So those concepts of 1, 2, 3 needs to be understand: energy efficiency, energy planning, energy improvement, ENBC, PNBC, and what all they are there. It needs to be understood by the time. So unless they understand this thing, the policy may not be understood and implemented. Then we come to displays. Display is something which I always take the example of Drishyam 1 and 2, which has been said there. If you see something, it gets registered into your mind. You, we all learn a lot of things from the movies. I mean, recently one movie had, the series has been released on Netflix onto the fire where fire at one of the greatest fire which has been seen into India. That was the Upar cinema tragedy in 1971, where 39 people have died and 103 has been injured because of what? Improper utilization of energy. Energy is good, but all these electrical energies and whatever energy we are having, if they are not utilized properly, if there is improper inspection done, if approved wrongly by various agencies, then energy policy also fails to implement. So displays are very, very important. If displays and slogans and those things are done, we have been talking for last couple of years to reduce the accidents and incidences and fire points globally. So why? Proper utilization of energy and proper implementation of energy policy with respect to the product, process and service activity of the organization with respect to their business process. Maybe a theater, a cinema hall where people go for entertainment, but 10% of them are dead, 20% of them are injured. So we have to be very, very clear, taking the examples from the word and learn from them. Make it available on websites. Policy, if they are available on websites, the entire interested parties are able to view and then they can comment on that. As third party auditors, when we go there, we are 70-80% ready with our good questions, which will lead to improvement into their energy management system, and ultimately the energy policy will be taking the lead into that. So this availability here and there at various places, as I discussed, is key to success of the energy policy implementation into the organization. There are multiple softwares available today, as we know. We are a part of various social activities, social networking. So several invitation platforms are being there, which are inviting us all to understand the software to implement energy policy and ultimately objectives and ultimately the ENMS system. But an intelligent organization will mold them to their own requirement. They will ask for demo. You show us the demo of your software to document, communicate, implement, review my energy policy. Once we are convinced, then ask the software suppliers to modify it to suit your requirement, because your product processes may be totally unique. You may be first of the organization going to that kind of a manufacturing process which nobody has done it so far. And there are such cases. We see those organizations, we see those products and processes which are very unique. You and me might not have seen any kind of product being manufactured before that, maybe, and their product line may be absolutely unique. So get it tailor made to your requirement to suit your energy policy. Then communication within the organization and all interested parties. We have discussed it earlier. I'm again saying it because here it is a part of the planning activity. There it was a requirement, but now we have to plan how the communication within the organization, to see that I always say it should be infused into the blood of the interested parties. Once it is done to that level, then they start giving you inputs. I have seen organizations getting a lot of interested inputs coming from interested parties. As in manufacture, when I was manufacturing automotive components, supplying to the world class, organizations, they have given us a lot of inputs. Customers have given inputs. Our suppliers have given inputs, and we have been able to improve upon the energy policy. Maybe that time the energy management system certification was not there, but our energy performance has improved. Our energy consumptions have improved. We have a PAW department, power, air and water department, in which includes energy producing, energy development and so on, along with the EMS and safety concept, because all these centers are getting, amalgamated today. They are getting gel to each other, and most of the organizations are going for IMS policy. So, but we have to see here, when we are going for IMS policy, let's give equal platform, equal weightage to energy policy. And if we are going fresh for energy policy, we are already a 9, 14, 45 certified organization, we have to be bringing the energy policy into priority, because unless we do that, it may lost into other EMS policies. We have seen this happening into organization, and the concepts of planning are lost there. So let's be careful. Then action plan. Once the planning is done, then the organization is getting into actions. They are getting energized to implement the energy policy plan. Then monitoring of all processes or plans as per the energy policy. Monitoring is a ongoing process. Also, the analysis of policy and implementation of energy target is again an ongoing process along with the action plan, so that we can revise it, we can modify it. Draft one of policy is converted to draft one, draft two. One of the organizations I have seen recently has gone into five revisions into energy policy in last 6 months. How? Because they were actively involved and they have followed what all we have discussed into the last four slides. So they have their sixth energy policy was ready for stage two audit. So that's one into have organization, and they are focusing toward their energy targets as well. And their policy chart of implementation is being developed and further monitored for implementation. Their energy policy chart is under a scan always, it is under a lens, and development is an ongoing process, because energy requirements are changing as per the government requirement, as per the availability of the gas, energy, biofuel, wind, solar, whatever we have discussed. So we need to keep on implementing it as per the chart changing requirements. Okay, and don't fail into first party, second party, third party audits unnecessarily. Then implementation is on. Now implementation is on means what? Drafting and all our policy and procedures and everything is done. So in various functions it is being implemented. From entry gate to the exit point it is being implemented. Entry point it is implemented how? There's a security, there's a download, unloading area is there, there's incoming process going on, there's a vehicles waiting, wasting what? Energy in the waiting area, wasting what? Their fuels in the energy in the waiting area. Then they are going to the exit point where they are again put to wait. Put to wait is all right, but if the displays are required, like switch off your vehicle, switch off the lights, save energy. Don't waste it just like that. It is very very rare today. Availability is getting more and more rare. And then ultimately enhance the effectiveness of energy policy implementation. Effective enhancement is one of the requirements. If you don't do that, we will fail. May not be today, maybe into surveillance audit, maybe into the reassessment audits, maybe into the reaccreditation schedules and all, which we are all going through regularly. Then what do we need to do? Update the data in energy policy and objective planning charts. Many organizations, when we go for audits, they are going to do it when we are getting into the sir, we will do it, we'll show it tomorrow, we'll do it in the afternoon and all, evening and all. We don't mind as long as they understand their concepts are clear. Some failures here and there are acceptable to all kinds of auditor with a practical view, because we are all getting into a new situation. This is a new standard. Energy policy is not something which was known to us for thousands and 100 years back. This is being known to us in last couple of years only. So we need to understand from a practical view and see that yes, the data is being updated. Conduct the accurate and precise calculations after implementation. You see, this is one standard where calculations are very very critical whenever we are talking of energy performance, energy utilization. What were the energy requirement 3 years back, what was 2 years back, how we are today, what is the datum line, what is the baseline, what is the electricity coming from government, how much we are generating ourselves, what is the contribution of solar energy part into it, what is the contribution of our own energy development into of it by utilizing the conventional method. So the calculations are not very simple here. and lot of implementation, lot of benefits, lot of resource utilization, and multiple success of the energy policy depends upon this particular line. If this particular line is effectively implemented into the organization, the battle is won. Then review the facts and figures with involvement of all. All teams involve all to have feedback. Don't take decision based upon feelings and by some top management or by some manager or by some staff or by some worker operator told you something onto phone. No, please look at fact and figures. Today we are heavily dependent upon different kind of WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and those kind of facts and figures coming to us. But see that you have a written down fact and figure, calculate it immediately, and derive to the right conclusion to see that your energy efficiency improves, your resources put into for energy policy and energy management system certifications are not going waste. And again, key to continual improvement is what? Willingness to review policies and practices. We should have a willingness to review policies and practices. Our management, our team should be willing to do it. And then a regular process on real time basis. Now we have started saying real time basis. No theories of last 1 month, last 2 months, 3 months. Calculate it today. If I am conducting the audit today, I have been doing it practically into the organization. Show me the calculation today. Use your software in front of me. I may not be the expert of doing that, but I may have an expert with me at times conducting the audit. But by experience, most of the auditors are able to at least understand how the real time basis calculations are being done and to modify those who are preventing growth and success. The growth of energy policy, growth of energy management system, wherever there is a break, wherever there is a hindrance, where there is a prevention coming to the growth and success, please take action. Please move on. Please give feedback to the respective authorities and see that our ENMS policy is giving us the desired results. Once we have done the implementation, then what do? We come to analysis and future actions. Okay. Unless we plan a good and effective analysis of our energy policy with the support of our team, there are various teams available. There are organizations who will make responsible. For example, I am taking this thing because these questions come to me from various sources before the conduct of this kind of a webinar. So two questions have already come to me who have said, sir, what is this cross-functional teams meaning into this? We only have a maintenance team who is implementing ENMS into our organization. That's all right. Any organization can make responsible any team for implementation, but have they involved others? Have they involved design, as I have said, discussed into the second slide? Have they involved 8.2, 8.3, 7.5? Have they involved vendors and suppliers, as I was discussing in slide number 2? So, if they are not involved, if the organization is having, for example, quality circle is running into the organizations, they are doing a lot of good work. If we don't involve them, if we do not take input from them, if we do not share the energy policy with them for improvement, how improvement will come into the energy policy chart? So that's the theme. Then lot of document and data is being generated in last 6 months. We have drafted energy policy in year 2022 July month. It is now 7 months of implementation gone. So now we have got lot of data, information, facts, figures, charts available, collected via correct, accurate calculations by using various techniques now. And we are now trying to give direction to the organizational and the interested parties about our energy policy implementation. And then what do? Once we have this, then we are going to conduct a effective internal energy policy implementation audit by independent, trained and deemed competent team of internal auditors. These are few terms which are coming new into the auditing system now. We are always trying to upgrade and update ourselves because we have got a global team available. We have got more than 500 auditors, maybe more. My team may tell me, give me more information on that. And that many associates who are giving us feedback continuously from the global parts wherever they are operating. So if they are deemed competent as internal auditors, then they can give good feedback, good results of energy policy implementation into the organizational. Internal audits are as such a requirement of management system standard. We know that. But at the same time, also we discussed there are multiple or many organizations who are not willing to go for certification. But energy efficiency increasing, energy performance increasing, saving on energy cost is everybody's baby today. If energy is saved, energy is produced, those were the simple concepts long back. But now what we are talking, we have to increase the energy performance. We have to see that that energy which we are able to save is put back into the organization and further improvements are coming. So now these trained and incompetent auditors who are independent are going to conduct audit of energy policy implementation into my organization. They have conducted maybe the first internal audit in month of October 2022. Second round is being conducted now in January 2023. So now we are having a set of files, set of charts, set of data available, which can go where? Which can go for effective review of energy policy in management review meeting. So management review meeting agenda is circulated, the teams are involved who are here and they go for energy policy discussion. Other than many other points will be there, but when we are maybe some organization conduct a special management review meeting for energy policy when they have drafted. We have seen organization doing it their own way. I mean, whatever way is, it is effectively reviewed is acceptable to us as a first party, second party, third party auditor. Aim is to see that intent is met. Intent is what? Energy policy is being analyzed and future actions are being taken here in this slide. And otherwise, we are talking of continual improvement through energy policy. So the team is there with data, with their charts, with their calculation ready, and they effectively review the findings of the internal audit with respect to energy policy implementation. And then they do what? They go for further implementation and monitor the further actions and future plans. Minutes are documented, authorities and responsibilities are defined for further implementation of energy policy in my Hong Kong unit or my Singapore unit, which is lacking in particular stores area, or any other department in UAE is very much efficient, so they take lessons from here, take it there to Singapore unit. That's what is the synergy in the organization. And effective utilization of management review meeting conducted by utilizing various country heads, various departmental heads, various unit heads. If we are talking of within the country implementation of energy policy in a particular diesel generating set or automotive component manufacturing units or car manufacturing units, and then we implement those actions which are decided with the support of this, with the review here, and then we monitor the further actions and future plans. If we are able to do that, improvements are naturally coming into the energy policy documentation, implementation, and by that we are able to improve upon energy performance and save the global money. And then what happens after that? If you are looking for further things where we can go for training and certification. TNV certification private limited approved by Exemplar Global INC for accredited trainings. We are a accredited training provider for ENMS, Energy Management System 50,001. We are conducting lead auditor courses globally. We must have trained more than 100 auditors so far in India itself. Global figure I am not having right now with me. If need be, it can be shared. and asked by you. We are also having TNV Academy Learning Without Limit. We have got the website available and the YouTube channel is there where all these webinars and seminars are available as I discussed in the beginning also, which are again getting linked to EMS, OSAS and other standards because most of the organization today we go for IMS certification, multiple certification and so on. And when we talk of certification, certification can be through TNV certification also, TNV system certification also, which is UAF here and IAF accredited certification body here. So this you can study the website and gain more and more information for your knowledge. So just to summarize what we discussed today, we have here TNV Academy, we have got energy policy, clause 5.2, ENMS, ISO 50001, and we have got various types of energy. If our concept, as I discussed, is clear with this type of energy with respect to our product, process, and business of the organization, all these things becomes very simple. And we go for the implementation of this by understanding these requirements, communication, documentation, review, periodic and available to interested parties as appropriate. It's key. We don't need to unnecessarily share the information with somebody who is not a part and parcel of that particular subject. It becomes risky at times and we get into a lot of problems. I have been seen into auditing, unnecessarily sharing becomes is able to raise a good non-conformity for an organization and they fail at times. Desired results we have understood, it meets the requirement and visions of the sustainable development goal and vision and direction of interested parties and top management. Planning is a key part of energy policy implementation into organization, drafting documentation, all this is a part of the planning activity. Do a good planning and become a successful energy policy implementer in your organization. Then action plans again implement it through intelligent effort by monitoring the processes and implement the energy target. Once understand what are the energy targets, then put energy policy into it and get benefits by utilization of energy objectives later on, and then implement it by making the concepts of the team clear, which has been done into last 5 slides, and then accurate precise calculations. This is the key to success of energy policy and ENMS system. Then real-time basis calculations. Now we are getting into that more and more details. Modify those that prevent growth and success. Modify the thoughts into concepts of organizational team and interested parties if they are preventing the growth and success. Then finally, getting into analysis and future actions by analysis, by internal audit, by energy policy management review, tracking of the charts, and so on. And then finally, certification or not, training or not, it is all your choice. What kind of a training you need, internal auditor, external auditor, internal awareness, all that you can decide here, and then certification or not, but get the benefits out of energy policy implementation. That is the need of the hour, need of the globe. Okay, so this is what I thought I will discuss. Now it is back to Apurv and the team who are participating. If they have questions, most welcome. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. I recently studied somewhere that according to the guidelines issued by Government of India, if an organization is using products within their premises or certain kind of products within their premises through which they can save energy and they have spare energy with them, and if they are transferring that energy to any other organization or premises, so they will be subsidized by the government. So is it correct that this policy exists?
Yes, there are a lot of subsidies and supports being given by the central government, state governments. Not only in India, I have seen into various other countries also. They're also giving this kind of support, and they give monetary benefits and benefits by way of other kinds to these kind of organizations, and they want ultimately want to enhance that. Yes, the organizations are going further, particularly more specifically they are supporting the solar energy and alternative energy resources with this respect.
Thank you, sir. If any other participants has any questions, they can please ask. If none of the participants has any questions, so then we can conclude this particular session. And I would say that this particular webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel in a short period of time, which is known as TNV Academy globally. And in case you have any questions, then you can watch this particular video again. And if you have questions, then you can please put in your questions in the comment section of the video, and we will be transferring those questions to Mr. Ajay Bajpai, and he will be really happy answering them. At the conclusion of this particular session, I would say that the idea of discussing this particular topic, energy management policy of ISO 50001, was absolutely great, and we were obliged to know about the specifics and concepts related to the energy management system policy, which is covered under clause 5.2 of ISO 50001 standard. And it is relevant for all organizations who are into the producing of energy, storing of energy, and transferring of energy in India and abroad as well. So this particular webinar, I guess, will help all of them to understand the concept of creating an effective and efficient energy policy under the implementation of ISO 50001 standard. I would say that we are really obliged by the knowledge which has been shared by Mr. Ajay Bajpai on this topic, which he discussed with us today, and we are really benefited by the knowledge which he has shared with all of us. I thank all the participants who has joined this particular webinar out of their busy schedule, and I really hope that we will be continuing these sessions in future again, and we will be hoping to have you as our participants in our future webinars as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. Goodbye from DNB Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Apur
Thank
Malik.
you. Thank you.